Hello and welcome back. Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at importing data into a Microsoft Access database. Um, Last time we created a table and we manually typed in or input data into that table. This time we're going to do something a little different. Frequently, when you're working with databases, you'll have to import the data from somewhere else. And I mean, it could be, I know a lot of you use Microsoft Access as a database. You might not call it that, but you might have information, data, whatever. It could be, for you in aviation, it might be your flight data that you may keep for the number of flights. It might be cargo information. If you work on the maintenance side, you might keep track of certain processes like that in Microsoft Excel. But you're basically, that's what you're using it for, as a database. And it's a spreadsheet. It's not really what it was made for. So sometimes you may have to take that data from Excel or some other system and import it into Microsoft Access. And so that's what we're going to take a look at today. So the first thing you're going to do is kind of locate the data that you want to import, and then we're going to use the import text wizard. So we'll take a look at that. So first of all, let's look at the data that we're going to that I found. And if you come out to the FAA's website, and I'm pretty deep into it, really. I'm on the tab that's called aircraft registration, and then I'm looking at the releasable aircraft database, and you can see right here, this is where I downloaded it, and then it's going to download into a zip file, and then you can expand that file. And that file is going to have aircraft registration master file, aircraft dealer applicant file, the aircraft document index file, aircraft reference file by make, model, series, and sequence, deregistered aircraft file, engine reference file, and reserve N number file. Today we're going to take a look at the aircraft nope, not that one. Where is it at? The aircraft reference file by make, model, series, and sequence. We're going to take a look at that, and we're going to input that. And so when we download this, it's going to download basically to our file, and it's going to just be a zip file. You can either go inside of and pull it out, but I just went ahead and exported everything out of it. And then we are going to just take a look at it, and so I think we have it here. If I come here to documents, FAA, and there it is. That's what it was. It's a zip file. If we come in here, all the files were expanded here, and this right here is basically, some people might call it a field specification. It basically tells you where everything is located in the files. And so if we look at that document, it's in a PDF. This is the table we're going to input, or the file we're going to input, is called aircraft reference file. And if you remember last time, I created, as a matter of fact, I created one for here too. And this is basically my field specification. It shows the field name, the data type, and the field size. That's almost what this is. It tells you what the element is, and it's going to tell you how many positions, uh, the number of positions, the position location in the record, and then it's going to tell you the number of positions that it actually takes up, and then description. So what I did, I just transferred it over to the my field specification because we're going to need this later on when we input it. So let's go over to access, the same file we had last time. Um, Remember, this is the one we created, input data in. So just click on that to close it. And we're going to go to external data from the external data tab, and we're going to go to a new data source. And then we're going to choose from file. You can also input from other databases, online services, other sources like ODBC databases. We touched a little bit on it last time, and we're going to do some of this. But today we're going to go from file, and as I said, you could basically input this from from an Excel file. But today we're going to bring it in from a text file. And if we come over here and look at the file, I actually opened up a notepad so you can actually see it. This is that entire file, what it looks like raw. And it is what we call comma-delimited. The commas are being used as separators here. So this is very important because what this also means is you really can't have any commas in any of the data, because what it will do is it will throw off the column for that data. The other thing that you'll see here is that the first line is actually the column headings, so we can actually use that for our column headings. And so that's not always the case. Sometimes it doesn't have it. Sometimes you have to go back to the field specification for the field names, but in this case we didn't. So come back here, file, text file, and then I've actually already browsed to the folder where it's sitting at on my computer, but we'll click browse, and this is the folder or the file right here. And now after I've selected it, I have a choice down here of I can import the source data into a new table in the current database, which is what I'm going to do. I can append a copy of the records to the table. So let's say if I already had this table, which I could have actually, I could actually go in and use the field specification that I have here, and I can create a table and I can input that data directly in that table. But this is going to be a little different. We'll do this because it is something, especially like later on, if you want to go back and append data to this, you'll do this. But today we're going to basically take a file and we're going to build a table as we are importing the file. And then the last one is you can actually link to an Excel sheet or link to a text file, but we're going to actually input it. Okay, so then we'll click OK, and it's going to give you a synopsis of the files. And if you remember, as I said, that this first line, that's that it's going to end up being the field names. And there are two choices that you can choose from here. You can either choose delimited, which is what this one is by a comma, or you can choose fixed width. Now, a lot of times, if you're downloading from like an older mainframe or something, the file may be fixed width, and that means you're going to have actually if I choose it here, well, I don't think it's going to divide any of them, but basically, so you'll have spaces. You have, like, if you think of each letter here, so you have like code, and then you may have a space and not have a space, and then you may have manufacturer, then model, and this manufacturer here, that will be those, everything under there would be that width. So you could only have 3 characters, and I'll probably try to make one to actually show you what that looks like, and how to input that. But today, as I said, we're using a delimited file, and like I said, it's comma delimited. So here you can actually choose, and it basically it gives you the most standard ones: tab, semicolon, comma, space, or other. So you can actually have, for example, a backslash. So you could have, say a backslash that could be used for a for a delimiter. You could actually also use a I don't know, hyphen. Just about any character that you could imagine. So this area here is what I talked about, where we have the first row contain field names. So we'll check that and come back to comma here. So now you see we have the field names, or the, if you're, like I said, used to Excel, you may call these columns, but these are fields. And then we have this one here called text qualifier. Some files, if they're exported, you can specify a text qualifier for things that are text, and then you can actually have commas in them. And what it does is it puts a character around the text. In a lot of cases, it's going to be a double quotes or single quotes, and that's what that is. But in this file is not using those. Okay. So we'll go to next. Now this is where I can actually use that file that I had, and then we'll go through these, because now we basically have to specify how we want these fields to be set up. And so you see the names are already here, and then it's going to guess at the data types, and it's not going to get all of these right. So let's see if I can. Oops, not going to let me do that. I was trying to minimize this. I guess I should have did it before I came here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that now. So I think it'll make a little better sense if I do it. More sense if I do it this way. So I hope that's not too small. Now let's see. Back to external data, new data source, from file, text file. Yes, perfect. And good. Now okay. And delimited. Next. Comma is there. First row contains fields. Text qualifier, we have none. I'm going to choose next. And so now we can actually look here and kind of see. I've actually kind of looked at it, and I can tell you why it shows the ones that I did. So code will, that's going to be text. We're going to leave that fine. I'll touch on indexes later on, but for now just leave yes is okay, no duplicates. And we can also choose do not import this field. Sometimes you have a field that you don't want to import. It may be a field that's not used or contains data that you can't use, and especially if you have a lot of fields, and you're gonna, some of these when you're downloading from some of these systems, you can have a lot of fields, and you may get to a point where, okay, well, I don't need that field, I'm not going to use it, I just want to have, like, say if you want address information, you just want the specific address information and whatever unique identifier. So that's what that's for. So this first one is code, and we can actually choose the data type. I'm going to leave it short text, but I do want to show you that you have just about all of the other ones. Now I can't go in and specify the field size, like for example, a 50, or I can't, come in when I uh, let's see, because I'm going to also choose it's going to have certain numbers. So and for my numbers, I'm going to choose, I've already specified as double, but I can't come in from here right now and for my text and choose how big the field size is going to be. So it's going to basically default to 50. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so we have code, and then going to come over to manufacturer. I'm going to leave that as short text, model, short text, type. Now it's going to make that as long integer, but this is actually a code. And if we come back to the PDF, notice here, like the type aircraft, these codes are going to refer back to another some type of data item. In this case, it's going to be the a glider, fixed wing, rotorcraft, etc. So if you were to look at a report of that, it would not mean anything. So later on, I'm going to show you how to make a table of that, and we're going to use referential integrity, or we're going to create a relationship with another table that basically decodes this, because it's not going to make sense when we bring it in, but that's going to be in a in another presentation. So, but you're not going to add to that. Remember I told you last time, if you're not going to add to it or never subtract it, then it really doesn't make sense to have it as a number. So I'm going to change this back to short text. Change this one to short text. And let me pull up my just so I know. Okay, all the way over to builder certification code. That's the last one that's short text. Yep, that's it. Now that I look at this, I actually put it down as double, but the way it comes through, let's see. I think I'm gonna go with what I already had, because yeah, I'm gonna go with the one I had was number. So we'll just you could actually change it to integer, because you would never have a half an engine, but we're gonna leave it we're gonna try to make it all constant, so we'll change the number and then double. Same thing with this one. Short text, that's the weight. Speed, I'm going to definitely change that to double, and we'll leave this as short text because I don't think I saw anything in that field. I don't even think they were used, so we'll change them both to short text, and that's it. And now after that, we'll go to next. Now it's going to ask for the primary key, and so these codes here, they should be unique, but I have not really analyzed this data. And I will tell you that if you're not sure if you have duplicates, because basically what a primary key does, it basically makes that field unique where you cannot have any duplicates in that field. So for example, if you had in an employee table, and you had social security numbers, then everybody's social security number should be unique. um, if you think about my last one with the aircraft and the serial numbers of each aircraft should be unique. And so then you can make those a primary key, or you can also add a field and make it primary. I'm going to choose no primary key in this case because I might come back. I think I may look at this and realize, and I'll show you how to do that. If I don't have any duplicates, then I could make that a primary key. And that is when, so you can, so the options are is to let access add a field, or you can choose a field. It has all the fields here, or you can have no primary key. And I'm just looking at these. So one thing I'm going to come back and do here is I'm going to change my field names, and to some of them I'll leave, and then I'll go back and update these from my specification, because what I did is I copied this directly from this sheet here. And but now that I look at some of these, I think I'll leave them like this. It's not the normal convention that I use. I told you I have my like a own convention I use when I create a database or an application. But in this case, I'm going to leave these like this. It doesn't really, I don't think it's going to benefit me changing these, and then try to make sure these don't go over 30 minutes. So then I choose next, and then I am going to change this. All my tables I always start off with TBL, and that way I know it's a table if I'm looking at the objects, and in code. So I can also check this and then analyze the table after I import it. And we also have an advanced tab here because I can actually save this. And here it is right here. I can actually come in and save this for importing this later on. And so that's where you see this, where I can actually save it. But I'm not going to do that today. But I just want to show you that that is an example of what we can do. And then you can actually pull this field specification back up and then change it later on. Okay. So now I'm going to choose finish. And it's done. If you can actually save these import steps. So if you have to do this again, it would just go through the file and it would just basically use a macro or whatever to import these steps. But I'm not going to use that this time. And now I'm going to choose close. And there it is. If you if I had have had in the numeric columns, if I had have had characters, alpha characters, then I would have had an error, and so then I would have had a table here with errors, but that didn't happen. And this time, but trust me, it does happen from time to time. You'll think that you have the data and the specifications that may have been given to you with a filler, and then it's not correct, and so you'll have to basically go through and correct those errors, and maybe change your specification and reload the file again. So if we come here, and we'll notice I loaded the file. And if you come over here, notice the ones that I made to double. If you remember, in when we looked at the file that uploaded, it had like 0, 1. But when we made this double, it got rid of that. And so now we, basically they're actually numbers, and the speed is actually a number. And so this is actually the cruise speed. And that's what I was saying. We could actually go back and I could, change, some of these, so it would make more sense. These last two columns, oh, there is some data down there. So there is some. If we come to the end, there are 87,000 records here that we just imported. So what we'll do now is the next time we will look at this, and maybe we will perform a query on this and actually see, because we've created a table, input a table. It's time for us to look at some queries and how I create queries and do that. There's a couple of ways to do that. If this is beneficial, I do ask that you like and subscribe. Please leave in comments. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comments or whatever. If you want me to do something in particular, please do not hesitate to add that to the comments. Okay. If you have any questions, like I said, reach out. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Bye-bye.